What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to A Certain Point of View for the third day in a row. It'll be 4 tomorrow.
Hashtag what day is it?
Hashtag what? That has been the trend on this channel, in this group for quite a while, and we're just going to stick with it. It is a Tuesday. We are back. We are continuing our rookie interviews, and we have a really cool guest today. We have Mr. John Hoey from the Resistance broadcast joining us tonight to talk a little Star Wars, talk a little Schmoedown. It'll be a lot of fun. As you can notice, Miss Molly Damon is not here today. She is actually shooting a very cool podcast with one Ken Knapsack. And so make sure you check that out when that does become available. But 3 of us are here, going a little bit old school with myself, Jill, and Brian. How's everybody's Tuesday going? You guys good?
Better than my Monday.
Can't say the same.
I think Brian and I exchanged tickets for the Hot Mess Express. Now it's Brian's turn.
Fully riding that train right now. Fully riding. All steam ahead.
Choo-choo.
So,
that's the new POV hashtag. That's
absolutely.
You're welcome. You're welcome, world.
It is a day that ends with a Y.
Correct.
Yes.
For a second, I thought it was Wednesday. It's not Wednesday.
It took me a second to figure out what the Y was. But, we're going. I'm just trying not to get. Jake and I are just trying not to get blown away by the winds up here today.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like in.
Right now?
I don't know what it's like in SoCal, but we were actually for the next 2 days. We were given 50 to 60 mile an hour winds here.
That was us last week. Last week we had upwards of like 80 mile per hour winds.
Yeah, and we were expecting all kinds of like power outages, and we kept the dog inside and like that type of stuff. And
it's supposed to start in like an hour, like really start.
It's you can see it outside. It's starting to get real nasty. It's starting to get real nasty.
I'm charging all of my external candles. I'm getting ready.
Brian, do you have any candles in your apartment?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, except the one that I use is really strong scented, and my eyes are like, okay, this isn't gonna work. I have matches. I'll just walk around with a singular match.
That is fair. All right. Well, yeah, we have we got a incoming Star Wars competitor on with us, and it's funny because I didn't even recognize this. But we have a number of Star Wars competitors who have been joining us throughout the week. And Sunny and Kat last night, they're IG heavy, but they had mentioned that they were very interested in the division of Star Wars. But tomorrow, we have 3 Star Wars competitors with us as well. And that's just
all of the Wars of Stars.
It's just continuing the fact that in 2021, the division of the year is 100% Star Wars. And we're going to spotlight as many of these incoming rookies as we possibly can. And we're going to be talking to one who a lot of people are very excited to have in this league tonight.
None of them are dragons, correct?
They're not.
Not that we know of.
Okay.
They're not Dragon Con.
Not Dragon Con dragons, but
that's true. Billy, how did you just find out I'm a Red Sox fan? How did you just find that out?
Hi, welcome to Certain Point of View. Brian is a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan.
And if I'm not mistaken, our guest is a Yankees fan. I could be wrong about that. He's giving me the thumbs up. He's a Yankees fan. So, I will say this before we bring him in. I do want to make sure that if you guys have any questions or comments for John or us in general, that Streamlabs link is right up there. I'll be paying attention to that throughout the night. You guys can leave all kinds of fun questions for him, whether it's Schmoedown or Star Wars. We're going to be here for about 30 to 45 minutes, and so you have plenty of time to ask those questions. But for now, let's go and bring him on so that way we can get going on talking. Joining us for the very first time here on PUV is Mr. John Hoey.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. This is so cool.
Of course.
Welcome to POV, and like we say to all of our rookies, welcome to the madness that is the Schmoedown.
It is an honor, and I can't wait to be in the eye of the storm. Hopefully, if I get drafted. If I don't get drafted, then whatever. But
there's still, even if you don't, you could still get picked up at any point. That's what I've been telling everyone. It's not like they're locked in picks. Like someone could end up being like, I don't want this person anymore. Drop, pick up. It's very much fantasy football.
So after Friday, don't go on like a tirade about
how
horrible it is.
Yeah, don't tell everyone that they suck. Don't point out managers and go, you suck and you suck and you lost out on me, because then you're definitely not going to get drafted the rest of the season.
Actually, I just go live and burn it all down. I'm like, you know what?
That could go. I feel like a couple managers might.
Yeah,
like
they're
That's
actually
also true.
a couple could be like, yeah.
Some
Drop it to
managers
people.
thrive on chaos, so
That's very
Yeah.
true. I mean, a couple of them literally like burning things to the ground, so
Yeah.
it works well for them sometimes.
All right.
All right. Well, as we do with all of our guests that we bring here on the channel for the first time, some of them may not know who you are, where you come from, with Schmoedown. We know that you're heavily involved in Star Wars and the Star Wars community. Can you give them a little background on yourself and the podcast and how you kind of got involved in maybe movies in general? Because I know you're a big movie guy also. Movies and then even Schmoedown as well down the road.
Feel free to subtly plug your stuff.
yeah.
Or not subtly. Not subtly.
Not even
Either
subtly.
way. Just feel
Not
free.
subtly. So, I mean, how I got involved with the Star Wars community was I started writing for StarWarsNewsNet.com 4 or 5 years ago, and kind of like worked my way up into a leadership role with the website, and then got involved with the podcast, the Resistance Broadcast, which is on all podcast apps, and we're on YouTube on the Star Wars Newsnet YouTube channel, and we kind of always had this like symbiotic relationship with Christian Harloff, because he hosted Collider Jedi Council, and they would graciously use our website to find all the news they needed for that day for their show, and so they would always like generously plug us, and a lot of people found us through them, and sometimes people found them through us. They were bigger than us, but we're proud of the site and what it does. It's a fan-run site, but we try to run it as well as we can and professionally and all that stuff. But then with the podcast and all that, we kind of kept in touch with him, and then he reached out to Star Wars Newsnet and said, "Hey, I'm looking to blow this thing up, the Star Wars division. Do you guys want to throw your hat in the ring?" And I'd been watching because I'm a big trivia guy. I'm a big Star Wars guy, and I'm an old school wrestling fan too. Yes. Like I'm talking like Mega Powers Collide, Hogan, Macho Man, like 89.
He knows what you're talking about.
That's like OG nonsense. Yes.
Yeah.
Love
so
it.
the Macho Man promos and all that stuff. Like so, all this stuff kind of like is in the blender with the Schmoedown. So I've always kind of like liked that aspect of it. And once he reached out and said, "Do you guys want to throw your hat in the ring, and we'll see if you guys can become a part of this thing?" We were all kind of like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, let's do that." So that's kind of how I got involved.
I got to say right off the bat, because Brian and I used to do a very, very small time website and Star Wars podcast, and we got a lot of the Star Wars stuff from Star Wars News.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's where we would go for a lot of articles if stuff was breaking or stuff to talk about on the show. So I'm very familiar with the site. And I think you guys do a great job. And it's very awesome to have you not just talking to you here, but also involved in the community now, and hopefully going forward after Friday too.
Oh, thanks, Jake. Yeah, it's we're not big leakers or anything like that, but we try to get all the news and put it together and write editorials and make it a good experience to soak in your Star Wars information and your Star Wars news. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Jake, I just realized that you purposely didn't tell me to wear my shirt today, so that way you could wear yours.
You're damn right I did.
See the smirk? Did you see the smirk? You know what? Screw you. I'm gonna go get it.
No, hold on a second. You wore it on Sunday. You wore it. What the hell? Anyway,
take it out the window, let it air out a little bit.
Let's just remove him for the screen real quick. I'll let Jill start with the hard hitting questions involved that we'd like to ask here on POV. You got anything you want to ask, Jill?
Yeah, sure. I do. Should I start with mine? I was maybe going to ask some of Molly's too.
Yeah, you can start with Molly's for sure.
Yeah, so Molly usually asks. So when it comes to the Star Wars division, obviously the wheel slices on the wheel are Star Wars movies. Yep. If you don't want to give up your strengths, you don't have to. But is there a particular Star Wars wheel slice that if you landed at, you're like, done, game over, let's do it?
In terms of how that round operates, where you sometimes have to reciprocate with steals and that sort of thing, I'd probably love it if I hit quotes.
Really?
Oh. Well, so I know that you guys do that on the show, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. Lacey was saying that too.
Yeah, and also just because sometimes, like, people are like, oh, you're the solo guy, so you must just know you're gonna know all the solo questions. And watch, I'll go on the Schmoedown and go like 0 for 5 on solo. People are like, he's a fraud, he's a fake fan, Disney, blah blah. So I feel like it's such a wild card if you just pick a movie. Like my favorite movie is Empire Strikes Back, and they may hit me with questions like the name of this ship's rudder is. I'm like, no. So I feel like quotes sometimes that always kind of rings a bell in me, and I can picture the person and where they were in my head, and for some reason I got that photographic memory that way. But I won't divulge too much more about my strengths, but I would say quotes would be cool.
Quotes, that's an awesome one.
Yeah, well, and that's something that a lot of people don't go for either.
No.
In the entire Schmoedown, a lot of people are, there you go. There you go. A lot of people are scared of quotes most of the time because it's a very broad category. And even in Star Wars, too. I mean, you have so many movies to choose from, and it can be from anything. And I got to say about Solo, too. I mean, Solo, out of all the movies, it has a lot going on in that movie. Yeah. They take apart with questions. So, I mean.
Oh, my goodness. There you go. Look at you two in your show.
Balanced.
I do appreciate that we are getting all of this up in the chat now. Look at all these big Solo 2 happens.
Oh, there you go. Molly's
all right.
There you go. I'm not scared. There you go. Ooh. Interesting.
I respect that, Molly. I respect that.
All right, Brian, I'll shoot it to you next. You got something you want to ask John?
Sure. So you said you're familiar with managers and whatnot. You don't feel free if you want to say a name. If you don't, is there a manager that you think would be suited well for you, or what are you looking for manager wise if you were to get on one of these teams?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm probably not going to name names because I just picture like if there's a manager watching right now, they're like, oh, yeah, there we go. It's pretty charming and funny and entertaining. It seems like he knows his stuff. And then I'm like, name someone else. They're like,
yeah, 100%.
Cross me right out. But I don't know. I would say I like the collaborative element of maybe a faction and like, being able to bounce ideas off people and having a manager that maybe during game time when maybe your mind is racing a bit, they can kind of reel you in and say, hey, just a reminder, you got 2 repeats. You can do a multiple choice thing. Because I've seen some people in matches. I think Sean actually was in a match and his opponent forgot that he could do multiple choices. And he was just like swinging for the fence and missing. And it's just like, that's the type of thing. I'm not saying I would forget that I had multiple choices, but maybe I would. And it's just like a simple thing like that they can just be like, hey, remember, you got that going on? Pulse comes down a little bit. You relax a little bit, recall things a little bit easier, and away we go. As I just knock my mic stand.
No, that's what happens too. You see those players where they know it, but then once they get behind that desk, it's like, what's a JTE rule? What is this? So it's like, it's definitely good to have the manager that's like, hey, like holding the sign up, remember your JTEs, or like, remember your multiple choice, like,
yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, that does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Most people, because we ask the same questions, we try to anyway to most rookies, and smartly, a lot of them don't say anything about who they want to be drafted by or who their favorites are, but we just kind of want to get an idea of kind of maybe what they're looking for, because there's 8 managers and all 8 of them are vastly different from each other and have an incredible range of teachings and coaching and what they do with managers. And you could say one word that might trigger something with a manager that might help you, and we want to be able to give you that chance in front of everybody. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been the players that have been playing this for many, many years and still don't know the rules. But now last year they're on a team with someone that tells them how to play the game and reminds them of stuff. And it's like, oh, look, they know how to play it right. So
yeah. So yeah.
Okay, I got a question, because we know that you know the game a little bit and you've done some history in Schmoedown. You've been watching it for a little while, and if you and we also know after talking to her on Sunday that you and Lacey have a little bit of a rivalry with each other, and so I want to take her out of the equation because I want to make sure that we get some other answer to this as well. But if there was a chance for you to play someone in your debut that wasn't Lacey, that was in the Star Wars division, or maybe even in the upcoming rookie class, do you have someone in mind?
Oh man, that is tough. Just rookies.
No, it could be anybody.
Anybody who's played too. Yeah.
I would love to play Sean Sullivan.
Woo!
Yes!
You know why? You know why? It would be a virtual party, I think.
Hell yeah! Hell yes, and we haven't gotten that in a Star Wars match yet. Like, it's always so like scary and like stressful. Yeah. We need some party Star Wars matches up in here.
Hey, yes. let's have some fun, but also be like, yeah, we still know our stuff, but you know, I may have a cocktail.
Perfect.
Sean had a cocktail and a Coke grenade. So
Sean had whiskey and Coke in his thermal detonator. So.
There you go.
Yeah. Currently, Port in a Storm is the Sullivan household's drink of choice right now.
As well as the Damon household. The Damon household is also addicted to Port in a Storm right now.
So yeah,
I did see Lacey trying to throw the gauntlet down at me. I did see that. She's like, just so you know, because I was busy at the moment. I couldn't watch it live. She's like, just so you know, I talk smack on you. So just get ready. Like,
she really enjoyed it. We could tell she really enjoyed it.
So. Oh, I know. I'm sure. Yeah, that's like a normal episode of the Resistance broadcast, man. That's what we do.
There you go. There you go. All right, Jill. I'll throw it back to you if you want to throw one of yours out there.
Sure. I'll do. Let's do a little bit of a scenario here. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're in your match. You're up in points. And it is the wheel round. So because you're up in points, you get to decide if you spin first or if you defer. Which do you choose and why?
I don't know that I would care necessarily. I maybe just go first. Because I feel like if someone was up against me and then they went first, even though I know that I still have my turn, the score differential after their round could look defeating. So maybe just the visual optics of it, I'd be like, let me just go first, and if I do well, then they feel like they have a bigger mountain to climb.
That's fair.
That's how
totally
I feel.
valid.
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah,
a lot of people I'm talking to have.
Am I saying the right things?
Yes. Honestly, it's all preference, and we've heard it before. It all comes down to preference.
There's no right answer in that.
There's really no right or wrong answer to that. Everyone has their. I just like hearing people. I kind of like to mess with people and get them in that place to where like, y'all need to know this if you get drafted, you know? So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just interesting.
I
to
actually appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. There's more.
I didn't think about that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Lacey deferred though.
She did.
I think Lacey did say defer. She had a very good reasoning for it though.
And we'll find out tomorrow what James says too, because we'll probably ask him the same exact question as well. Brian, say it again, Brian? Go ahead.
I said someone will break that tie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Also, just a side note, Sean Sullivan said he would love to play your first match.
All right.
There you go. There you go.
Let's get on the hype train.
Christian Harloff. There you go, Harloff. All right, Brian, you're up.
Yeah. So, out of the people that you know, is there someone that, and doesn't even have to be a Star Wars competitor, is there someone that you would love to be on the same faction with, just purely to like learn knowledge of either Star Wars or something, how they play, anything like that? Again, does not have to be just Star Wars.
No, yeah. I mean, there's people I know and kind of develop friendships with who are in the league, so that might help. Like, you know, we've known John Roca for a long time. Obviously Alex and Molly. Like, I thought it'd be so fun to be on a team with Molly because she's another person who likes to keep it fun but also knows her stuff. I realize she's a co-host of yours, so that's like one of those answers. Like, good answer.
Good answer.
Until she goes full Dark Ray on everybody, then
I know. I saw that promo she did. That's kind of freaked me out.
She's starting to
get those kind of special effects. I think I would say maybe one of those two. I'm sure there's others, but I'll leave it at that for now. I did have a fun back and forth today with Thomas Harper. We were talking. We were trading Ultimate Warrior gifts, and he was like, because I tweeted out like, Yeah, just so people know, like I also know regular movies really well. So maybe, you know, if one of my faction mates gets hit with a steel chair backstage and they need to tag me into a regular match, and he sent me an Ultimate Warrior gift and I returned one back, and he's like, if I ever get knocked out, you're coming in like the Ultimate Warrior. So we had this back and forth.
Are you? I'm assuming you're not as big of a Y-wing fan as he is.
I am not. No, I think that. Although you know, Lacey and James made fun of me for this. I took this. I'm gonna not get drafted after doing this. So the outlet plug things, the plastic that comes over them.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you take it and bend it, you make yourself a little Y-wing.
Oh,
So Thomas Harper, if you need a cheap free Y-wing, there's a free
there you
tip for you.
go.
That's amazing. That
Oh
is
my god, that's
amazing.
freaking cute.
That's very clever. That is very, very clever.
I almost got kicked off the podcast for that.
I think it's genius.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, because we did bring up the Dragon Con players and Thomas Harper. Do you know of them and the hype that is being built around Harper and Burkett and Wilson and all these players coming in?
Yeah, I know the hype because I was, you know, I had been on shows and stuff, and then there were like mock drafts, and like I got picked in a mock draft as Dave Hoey and Josh Hoey, like, but then you have these people from Dragon Con and people are etching their names on the belt already, you know, so it's like, but I don't want to be that. Like, I don't want the target on my back. I want to be the one coming after people that just kind of laying in the weeds a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I'm not the one that people are picking. Like, I am a very competitive guy. I like having fun, but I'm also very competitive. But I like keeping my cards close to the vest. But I have noticed that people are anointing certain people, and there's a lot of call outs coming from that side of the thing. But I mean, I'll leave it at that, and we'll see what happens.
That's fair.
I like it. I like it.
That is fair. Jill, I'll go ahead and shoot it back to you.
Sure. I'll do another one of my fun ones. So I think I did this with Lacey as well. So let's say that you and Lacey, that's your first match. Your first match is against Lacey. Can you drop me a promo?
Yeah, I can do a quick promo. I would just do something like this. All right, Gillerin, here's the deal. Theatrics aside, we all know how this goes. I brought you in to the Resistance broadcast, and I can take you out in the Schmoedown just as quick. I'll see you in the ring.
Woo!
Short, simple and sweet. I love it.
Fire.
Before they're even drafted, they're already setting themselves up for a match. I mean, that's incredible. The promos are great. The intensity is great. The competitiveness is great. I love it.
Joe's been trying to ruin families since.
He's like, let me take out the Resistance broadcast. So there's only 4,000 Star Wars podcasts left in the world.
Very true. Very true. All right, so we did get a Streamlabs that came in. I want to read that before we lose it. This comes from Miss Kylie, and she had asked. So in a division where there are actual real life dragons and someone like Sean Soley, who is actually a real life Godzilla, how do you expect to compete in this division creatively and win matches?
So is this a character based question or is this a skill based question?
The Dragon Con players, we are calling them dragons, and Sean apparently is now Godzilla. So
apparently, I mean, he's not going to
detest
detest to that. He loves Godzilla. So
I think it's more of a question to how do you maybe stand out, or what can you bring to the game that maybe someone can't, compared to maybe some of these other rookies,
other than being a giant lizard.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So someone's gonna beat these people, and then like their nickname's gonna be the Dragon Slayer, and you know,
so true.
So why not me? You know. But in terms of what I can bring that's different, for one, you know, Schmoedown's all about these different levels of the game, and you have your each get the same questions in the first round, but then the second one, you got to kind of see what category you want to pick. Kind of like I said before, do I want to pick this? So if the situation where they want to pick up a steal, they won't be as good at it. And, there's a lot of mental aspect to the game and also a lot of luck too, with those numbers in the last round and so on. And then the championship matches with the buzzers and all that. I got quick fingers, so that's not a problem. And then what else I bring is just, I do have a high level of retention. I can call things back pretty quickly. So you don't always have to rely on the multiple choice element of it. And, you can fire things up in 15 seconds. But then also what I bring to it for a manager is I worked in a video store for like 9 years. And I've been a movie nut my whole life. I have another podcast I do where I talk about old movies with my best friend, Mike. And if a manager needs someone who's not just going to be a Star Wars player, while I will be a full-bore Star Wars player, just like any Star Wars player, tag me in if you need a tag team partner for a regular match, or if you need a singles player in a pinch. I have that sort of diversity in my background. And as a big sports fan, I know that a big thing about being on a team is having players that can do a lot of different things, because, you have a certain amount of roster spots. So I think that's one area where I would stand out from a lot of the other Star Wars players who just like to live in a galaxy far, far away.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Now
I'm curious, if you had your choice of going into a singles or an IG match, what would you rather pick?
Singles.
That's
I don't mess with Lord of the Rings.
Me neither, to be fair. I don't either.
Yeah.
There's like 38 too many Marvel movies. And I love all those movies. It's just like, it's so intimidating, the stories of all these Marvel movies. And we talk about Star Wars connectivity, like Marvel is just on another level. It's insane. So that would take a lot of preparation for me. I never shut any doors. I would always I like a challenge. So I would always like to, learn, and maybe I become a Lord of the Rings nut because of the Schmoedown. Who knows? But I would say singles, just because I have a weird knowledge of absurd things. Did you know Claudia Wells was Jennifer and then replaced by Elizabeth Shue in the second 2 Back to the Future movies because of this? It's just all bopping around in there. Doesn't help me in my normal life, but in this area, it might have a little bit of weight in gold. I don't know.
So then now I'm curious, what is your favorite movie outside of Star Wars?
Man, that's tough. Growing up as a little kid, I loved The Love Bug. Herbie the Love Bug was my favorite movie as a little kid.
Abby
Freel.
Freel, you hear that? She's
the original though, not the Lindsay Lohan one.
Nope, she loves anything with Herbie. She's one of the question writers on the Schmoedown. Anything with Herbie the Love Bug, she is obsessed.
My favorite movie as a kid, favorite movie hands down as a kid was The Love Bug, the original. But I don't know, I'm a huge Indiana Jones guy. And then in terms of dramas, I would say Good Will Hunting, and I am an unapologetic Ben Affleck fan. I love The Town. I think that movie is amazing.
Movie's brilliant.
Movie all the time. Yeah. There's a few.
I mean, I can't argue with that.
No.
Imagine you did. You're like,
yeah,
Town.
I'm like,
that's terrible.
So building off that a little bit, so kind of similar to what Brian had asked earlier about, or maybe I think what Jill had asked earlier for Molly's question. If you were to enter a singles match and say there was something on the wheel that you were really interested in, you don't have to divulge too much, but is there something specific in singles, like a genre or maybe a time period that you feel you're best suited at?
I don't know. I'm pretty good at movie release dates.
Wow.
God, you threw out quotes and movie release.
I was going to say quotes and movie release dates? Wow.
Well, yeah, but it's just because I have that weird retention where I'm like, oh yeah, I know that such and such came out in, 94 or whatever. And but I don't know, in terms of quotes may be tough in regular movies. Like Star Wars, I think I'm good in quotes. I wouldn't do quotes in regular movies, but I don't know, maybe 90s comedies or something like that. I'm not really sure. It would have to be, I would have to see that whole pie that day and be that's the one, or, yeah.
That's fair.
That one right there.
Don't land on that. Don't win on that one.
Not that one though.
Boy,
This one and that one, but not that one.
Okay, so I'll ask this then, since we're on the topic of singles. Is there a singles player, if you've watched enough, that you would love to face at some point, or
Hey,
maybe
thanks for
play
stealing
against?
my question.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I think I just as a fanboy, I would love to play Kevin Smith because I've been a fan of his since I was like 13. So losing to Kevin Smith would be a great honor. But I don't know. Like, I think it would be cool to play someone like one of the bigger players, like John Roker or somebody, just to see where I stack up. Because like I always feel like if you aim high in any aspect of life, you always end up better than you thought you ever could be. Like that's why what's good. That's what's so good about this Star Wars competition thing. like. Yeah, it's going to be a lot tougher to win a belt now just because there's way more people and just by the sake of odds. Never tell me the odds. I know, yeah. But the fact that it's going to be so competitive, then anytime any of us step outside of the Schmoedown and do other trivia, we're going to slaughter people just because we're all going to feed off each other and build that competition without even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you go to like bar trivia and you're like Kylo Ren at the beginning of Rise, where you're just slaughtering people just left and right?
I always go into bar trivia, which has like pop culture and history and all that stuff, thinking I'm going to do really well, and then they hit you with those really obscure things.
Yeah,
of course.
I'll be at the bar. Remember bars, guys?
Yes.
Bars. Remember
Bars.
hugs? Remember those?
Yeah.
Remember hugs? Exactly.
Do you remember
All
hugs?
those things. Jeez. Oh my goodness.
All right, Jill. Do you have anything else?
I've given all of my scenario questions, and I mean, I can continue torturing people. I would just have to think of something.
No, stop being cruel.
Okay.
Brian, did you have anything?
So you said you're decent friends with Roka. Do you have a problem being drafted in the 4th round?
I don't know what that is, what that means, and I'm not even touching what.
I'm just gonna be over here. I'm just gonna.
It sounds like this is something that's baiting me to get me in trouble.
No.
And I'm not taking that bait, dude. I'm born and raised on Long Island. I know how to avoid trouble if I need to. So I'm gonna.
So
Kylie.
Oh
Right.
God! Last year during the draft, there was the whole keeper thing where if you drafted a player that was on a team in a protected team, you got their partner. And Finstock had two of the top five teams on it that he could draft. So he just said, "Well, I'm drafting these guys," but he still had to place them in order. And he picked Roka in the 4th round, and it was like this wildfire.
Yeah.
Like he was drafted
really?
behind all these players. He should have been drafted in the 1st round, et cetera, and it's lived on for over a year now.
Yeah.
That's interesting because, and he's a seasoned champion player of multiple divisions and all that stuff, and I know that. But like for me, where I stand, like I think it would be, I like the Tom Brady element. I don't like Tom Brady. I hate Tom Brady, but I would like the Tom Brady element of chip on your shoulder, drafted 199th, and then become the greatest player of all time. Like if I'm a rookie and I get drafted 1st round, the weight that's on your shoulders to be the absolute best is so immense. I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I'm not saying, let me hang around till last round. I'm like, but if I get drafted later and people like overlooking me and they're really enticed by the Dragon Con folks, more power to them, and I'm sure they'll do really well, and that's great. But I have no problem. Like once I'm drafted, we all start with a 0-0 record. And away we go. So that's that stuff's fine. That does not bother me. It'll motivate me.
See, there you go. That's the answer.
I wish that was the case
Roka
this
can
year.
laugh about it now, but for a while that was
Yeah, I mean, if he gets brought up, he's still a little soft spot on that
a
one.
little bit.
I get that stuff though. I guess what makes him so good though, because he's like just ruthless.
Yes.
I mean, we've experienced that. He's come on our show twice, and all he's done is yelled at us both times.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's come on our Star Wars podcast, and he has no problem. Like when you like kind of just get to know somebody and you don't want to argue with them just to be polite. He doesn't do that.
Oh no. He's right in your throat, and it's like, okay.
He was like, listen, Solo wasn't that good. I'm like, get out.
And bye.
Okay, I'll ask this before we get to our final question. Do you know of the Bespin situation with Roka?
Oh,
Bespin of the wheel.
Yeah, it was something where he knew the answer but didn't write it down or something like that?
Well,
or
he was asked what are the 3 locations that they go to in The Empire Strikes Back, and he didn't know Cloud City was one of them.
Oh, interesting.
And that was the very first season that the Schmoedown had officially happened in its format now, and it's lived in infamy. And people
back then he boasted a lot more that he was like, I know Star Wars.
Yeah. So if you ever have him back on the show, you should be like, so what about Best?
He literally yelled at us because we brought it up on Sunday.
Yeah.
He screamed, "It was 6 years ago."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I will. I'll bust his chops about that.
Yeah. It's great. It instantly gets a reaction out of him. Instantly. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So now, okay. So we have a lot of New York fans in here. So I'm curious now. Fire round. Giants or Jets?
Giants.
Knicks or Nets?
Neither, but Knicks.
Okay. Rangers or Islanders?
Rangers.
Okay.
And obviously Yankees over Mets, correct?
Oh, the Yankees are the greatest sports team in the history of sports.
Negative.
All right, I'm gonna
Sorry,
go
Brian.
now. I'm gonna go now. Bye. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So Jill likes Dodgers, I'm sure.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. Wow.
Congratulations, by the way, on winning the
It
World
only took
Series.
us, 28 years, but we got there.
Hey, you did it. Yankees have an 11, 12-year drought, so.
We had a 28. We had a 28-year drought.
True.
We had over 100. Okay. So
John doesn't care about that one. He doesn't care about that.
It was yeah. I don't. 1918
Like,
chant was. I loved the 1918 chant, and when you guys took that from me, I was very upset.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up with our final question. We always like to ask our guests here, and obviously we know that you're a big movie fan. We're all movies fans here. Kind of brought us all together. And even though theaters aren't open, we like to ask everybody, what is your favorite movie snack and your favorite candy?
Oh, favorite candy is Twix.
Yes. Finally.
Left and right. They both taste the same. I don't know if people know that. They both taste exactly the same.
Mind blowing.
Yeah. And I don't do the variety Twix. I need the classic Twix.
Yeah.
There are varieties of Twix.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do like the cookies and cream Twix.
Oh,
peppermint or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the classic Twix.
100%.
And then in a movie, I always do this. I get the popcorn. Yes, I get the crap butter on it too. I don't care what anybody says. I do that. And then I get an icy, and I usually go with the blue raspberry icy.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Because the red one gives me a stomach ache. I don't know why.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Well,
the blue one, we're good to go.
Perfect. I miss
Love it.
ices.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully one day.
Ices.
Hopefully one day.
I'll wait till we're out of winter. Yeah.
That's true.
It's snowing outside right now. I'm like, let me get an icy. Yeah. Jill's like in LA. She's like, I can really go for an icy.
It's fifth. I mean, to be fair, it's like 50.
This is
right?
what we hear. Oh my God, it's 60 degrees outside. It's freezing.
My Southern California body can't handle it. Okay.
Yeah.
When I went out to LA for Rise of Skywalker, it was December, and I swear I saw people wearing like coats and stuff. I'm like, what is going on? What are people doing?
Yes. My sister.
It's 70 degrees. Time to put my big coat on.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. My sister, born and raised in the Bay Area, lives in San Diego for 5 years. It's 75 degrees in our house, and she's like, why is it so cold? I'm like, are you crazy? Like,
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Jesus.
Well, John, I gotta say it's been awesome having you on the show. Finally, I'm so happy that we were able to put this together last minute before Friday.
Thank you.
Cool to talk Star Wars and talk Schmoedown and everything with you, and we can't wait to see what happens on Friday, man. We wish everything goes your way. We wish you the best of luck, and we hope to have you back on the show soon.
Thank you, everybody. And Molly, sorry you missed it, but hi, hope you're well. And Jake, Brian, Jill, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And managers, think about your buddy Johnny. And we'll see what happens.
There you go.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are so fun.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, all of you watching, before we let John go, just if you guys loved hearing what he had to say, if you think he fit well with the manager, shoot that to the managers, guys. Shoot it all over social media. Let them know what you think, and maybe that'll give John the upper edge on when Friday comes with the draft.
Yeah.
So,
And feel free to plug your stuff right now.
Let them know where they can find you online.
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter at Johnny Hoey. I tweet a lot of weird, random, deep cuts and obscure observations I take throughout the day, like stopping the microwave with 1 second left because I'm impatient. I
do that too.
I just hate the beep.
I hate the beep.
Yeah, I hate the beep.
I think that's a big part of it. The podcast, the Resistance broadcast, we're on all podcast apps and YouTube at youtube.com/Star Wars Newsnet videos, and StarWarsNewsNet.com is our site where we do the Star Wars news thing. And I have a movie podcast with my best friend Mike, where we just kind of like wanted to escape the pandemic, and he lives in Ohio, I'm in Connecticut, and we wanted to reconnect a bit. And we said, we used to have such great conversations about movies. Let's just do a little podcast and, have some fun with it. It's called Just Like the Movies. And we talk about all those movies we loved growing up to the 90s, 80s, 2000s, and that sort of thing. So that's about that.
Sweet.
Love it.
Out.
Well, before we get out of here, I do want to say for tomorrow, we have 3 rookies on that I mentioned up top. We have Ross Arsenault, Evan Bushkar, and John's fellow podcaster, James Bainey. The final of the Resistance 3 will be joining us tomorrow.
The Resistance 3.
Resistance 3. Right? Yeah, there you go.
They have a name now.
Join us here tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on the channel for that interview. We'll be talking more Star Wars, as all 3 of them are Star Wars competitors. And then we'll be getting into the draft this upcoming weekend. So again, John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. Seriously.
For everybody watching, thank you so much for hanging out with us for this hour. It was awesome to have everybody in the chat. And so until tomorrow, guys, we will see you then. Jill, Brian, myself, we are POV, and we'll see you guys back tomorrow.
Bye.